Lights, camera, action! Read the script, dummy.
My name is Christopher. I've been a commercial aircraft mechanic for 3 decades. I started in general aviation and always wanted to fly, but I got that chance several years ago and earned my private pilot license. I'm single-engine sea and land rated with a high power and tailwheel endorsement. And now I'm sharing my passion in hopes it will inspire others to pursue their dreams. So I invite you to take a seat and ride along with me as we look at the world from above.
Well, it's the end of what has been a lousy year. 2020 has come to an end. And I, for one, as I'm sure a lot of you out there, are glad to see this year just go away. It's with much optimism and hope that 2021 shapes up to be a better year. So let's keep good thoughts in mind when we bring in this new year. So with that, let's take a look at what 2020 was on this channel. To do that, I had to look through my logbook, and that revealed some surprising firsts and several milestones. Even though every major flying event was canceled, and with social distancing in effect, we, as pilots, were still able to take to the skies and keep our flying skills sharp. Nothing says social distancing like an altimeter reading 3,000 feet. Here are some highlights of what happened even in the grips of this horrible pandemic. Following completion of both annuals, in January and February, there needed to be several post-maintenance flights. Both Daisy and Sheila needed the performance flights for the newly installed ADS-B systems. Daisy also needed her fuel system calibrated for the new engine monitor. And in that flight, the transponder accidentally popped out of the panel after takeoff.
Oh, Jesus. Transponder fell out.
The 558 transponder appears inoperative. Recycle Squawk 1200.
Talk about recycling your transponder. She also needed to fly in slow flight to calibrate the AOA indicator. I wish I had some video of that, but that's for another time. In April, I landed my vintage tail dragger at the mighty SeaTac International Airport and didn't even have to go through TSA screening.
50 kilo, fly direct to numbers, running 16 right. Approved for the stop and go, running 16 right.
Cleared for a stop and go, 16 right, direct to the numbers, 50 kilo. Thank you.
Skylab 3616, running 16 left, click for takeoff.
So in May, I set out to make a good landing at my nemesis, Harvey Field. Ooh, that Harvey Field.
Slow down. Ooh, it's bumpy.
A rather difficult airport just because of its location and a lot of the things that are around it. It's kind of a hemmed-in kind of airport, and there's the link to that video right here. This was the first time actually landing new Sheila at that airport. And speaking of firsts, I added 18 new airports to my logs. Several were very challenging, like in June, landed in Monroe. July at Langley. And just recently at Apex.
Apex traffic, Stinson 50 kilos, turning final for 25, Apex.
I'm not dead at all.
Actually, I've been to Langley on other occasions, but this was the first time in Sheila by myself. At the end of May, I traveled around the North and South Olympic Peninsula.
Load for the go-around.
To date, the most fun flying and filming has been that 5-part series of the Northern Route. The weather worked out in my favor, and the view over the Crescent Lake was spectacular.
Keeping an eye on our fuel situation here for switching tanks. So probably by the time we get to the other end of the lake, it'll be time to switch tanks.
This year I was fortunate to be involved in 3 air-to-air photo shoots. The first was with Sheila as the airborne model. The second was an amazing flight to capture a T-6 Texan and a Stearman. The problem with those 2 airplanes is the speed difference and trying to keep everybody tight. So I'm very grateful for the highly skilled pilots and the photographer that made that flight a reality. I only wished I had time to set up the cameras to capture that one. I had no idea how epic it would ultimately become. I needed to be checked out in the right seat of the 182, and we did that on the way down from Payne Field to Norman Greer, formerly known as Crest Air Park. And for the first time, I'd never landed anything from the right seat until then. And I'd never flown into Crest, so I did my first landing at Crest from the right seat. And by the way, it was a squeaker. Just ask Jason and Roger. They were sitting right next to me. And the last air-to-air shoot was also a mismatch of flying speeds, alongside a Zenith 701 experimental aircraft. We had to fly the entire flight at 80 miles an hour and flaps at 10. In July, Na and I flew to Tillamook, Oregon, and what a fantastic approach. You come in over the hills, over the bay, and the airport is tucked in the back of the valley, and with its very long cross runways, you should be able to make a beautiful landing.
Do it.
Used to make paper airplanes and throw them out into the yard. I made a wish before they fell down. Maybe my dreams were too large, 'cause now I feel so small in this great big city all alone. Oh, now I seem so far from everything I know. Too busy paying my bills to pay attention to.
The airport has several crew cars for use, and we went out to Garibaldi to eat at Fisherman's Corner. Additionally, Oregon has some of the best beaches on the West Coast. And if Corona wasn't bad enough, September, we had one of the worst fire seasons this past year. California and Oregon were hit the hardest, but leaving a thick layer of smoke all along the West Coast kept most of Seattle covered in instrument conditions. IMC. I was fortunate to have a morning flight on the ensuing Merc that was to be on the following weeks. And these clips showed how low the visibility could get and still be legal to fly in visual conditions.
Oh my god. That's cool.
Camera just cannot capture this. That was very disconcerting. Had I not been familiar with the area, I would have been very uncomfortable navigating through 8 miles of visibility. I followed up that video with one of a drone shot from across the street from my house, in which you could barely see 2 miles. definitely IFR conditions. In October, I paid my respects to my hangar neighbor Russ with a trip down memory lane. It reminded me of why I became a pilot in the first place, and to never take for granted the beauty and freedom that we have as aviators. So fly every chance you get and enjoy every minute flown. I only got night current officially once in August by getting up at 2 a.m. to fly from Payne Field to Bayview, Arlington, and back to Payne Field. Then I went to work for 10 hours. This year I gathered 15 stamps in my Fly Washington passport. I'm still a long ways from earning my jacket like my friend Andy, but someday I will. And lastly, my greatest accomplishment was to reach 250 pilot in command hours, and then shortly thereafter 300 total time hours, all within 263 flights and nearly 700 landings. Seems like only yesterday I was boring holes in a Cessna 150. And December 17th is my pilot birthday. That makes me a 6-year-old pilot. But just like when I got my A&P in the summer of 1991, it's a license to learn. So no matter how old you are or how many hours you have, there's always a chance to learn. So challenge yourself. Go out and earn your certificate. Earn a new rating, or grab an endorsement. You'll be glad you did. Leave your favorite memory of 2020 in the comments below, and I'll do my best to respond to every post. With all the disruption of our daily lives, industries have changed. Some have been scarred, and some have just simply perished. But what lives on is the light on the horizon, that of a brighter day. I've learned so much this year. I've seen the spirit of people come alive and refuse to give up hope. I've become more patient and tolerant of life's irrelevant roadblocks. I concentrate on the more important things, health and happiness. And as always, may your flying be good flying. Yes. Lights, camera, action! Read the script, dummy. We're gonna do that one more. That one. We're gonna do that one again. I don't know who I'm talking to. This was the first time landing the Sheila. The Sheila. It was a very. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Also, in July. I can't read my handwriting here. What a goober switch. I said goober switch. Off the hip. In May, In May, I met. What did you met? We as pilots were still able to take to the skies and keep our skills sharp. My eyes are just tired. Clocking 300. I said 300. 300. I'm gonna say 300. Take that. take monster. The take monster. Yeah. The angle of the angle. Tail. Do that again. Did I just do that? At the mighty. And speaking of firsts, I landed. I'm landed. Have some more water. See what I get from being a jackass? That's not Corona. It's not Corona. I just put all the water wrong. See what happens when the dailies come back. Dailies? You got dailies? Getting tired and sloppy. Nemesis. Line? Back end that. I get kind of choked up about that.